Zach Seyko joining us of Locked On Nittany Lions. Zach, coming up this week against the Sign Steelers, what are the odds? What are the odds that Penn State pulls it off?
I mean, the bookmakers don't really think it's that far off. The official sports book of Locked On has them as a 5.5-point underdog. So it's not like, which doesn't make any sense to me why everyone makes this situation out to be that Michigan is overwhelmingly better, that Penn State is still not look, they're not a top 4 team at this point. They can definitely vault themselves back into the conversation, but we found out what Penn State's offense actually is. It's average. It's mediocre this year. Yes, there's a lot of talent at quarterback, but Drew Aller's still only a first-year starter. But they also went up against the Buckeyes defense that, unlike USC, figured out its problems. Jim Knowles is a good defensive coordinator. Alex Grinch is obviously, unemployed. For Penn State, they lost to the number 1 team in the country by 8 points on the road in Drew Aller's first big game, a true big game environment. Illinois was never going to prepare him for that. Northwestern was going to never prepare him for that. It was also a homecoming. Aller's from the state of Ohio. The entire state of Ohio was watching, family and friends. So now when you think back to it, that was not an ideal situation for that Penn State team in general. They got a reality check, a much needed one by a great team, a college football playoff contender. That humbles them to be a little more businesslike going back home to Beaver Stadium against Michigan.
Now, I want to say this, Seyko, because last time you sold me. I was with you. I was there, and they let me down.
Sold too.
They let me down. That offense let me down a little bit. But now, coming back, and we're talking about a Michigan team that has not allowed more than 13 points all season. And granted, they have not seen an offense with the talent that Penn State has. But what is it that's telling you, hey, not only can we put up more than 13, but we can also do enough to stop Michigan in that juggernaut that they've been, sign stealing or, whether it's natural, it doesn't matter. That's what they've been. What is telling you, hey, we can honestly get this one done?
I mean, it's not about the offense. Yes, the offense needs to do its job, but that's what the identity of this Penn State team is. Like a Michigan, like an Ohio State this year, because this is not your CJ Stroud, your Justin Fields type of offenses. Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State have resolved to this identity of, hey, let's play some elite defense, not turn the football over, because Penn State's been really good at that. 1 interception, 1 fumble. Drew Aller's got a 20 touchdown to 1 interception ratio in his first year of starting. Now, Penn State doesn't exactly have a cupcake schedule like a Michigan does, but they played West Virginia. They did play Ohio State. And Penn State put up a 50 bomb against a Maryland team that we thought was better. Okay, I still think the Terrapins are fairly respectable. They did that on the road. It's about the defense. It's not about the offense. The offense just needs to play a clean game of football, be able to convert on third down. Penn State also didn't have all of its guys available in that game, which restricted some offensive play calling. This time they do. They're in Beaver Stadium. So it's more about the defense. You have the number 1 and the number 2 defenses analytically in this game. So it's not on Drew Aller necessarily. Penn State's getting Chop Robinson back. Penn State's getting Amin Vanover back. Those guys were missed for a majority of the game against Ohio State. Can you predict if they're going to be fully available in this one because of circumstances, right? They were hurt on fluke plays. Maybe not here, but you do anticipate that they're going to play a full 4 quarters against a Michigan offense that last year was running for 6.5 yards per carry, now down to 4.5. And may I remind you that schedule that they played, why are they averaging 4.5 yards per carry against that schedule? That's interesting that they're down a whole 2 yards from a year ago.
And everything, Zach, you're saying about the schedule, it's why, for me, I can't wait to kind of really find out who Michigan is in this game, because you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. And, they've been merciless covering those FanDuel spreads left and right, but they haven't played anybody ranked until now. Okay. So I'm so curious as to how they're going to respond on the road against a team like Penn State. So you tell me, from a Michigan standpoint, when you look at the Wolverines, what scares you most about their team? Like what matchups do you think Michigan has advantages in?
I mean, the defense, it's number one in the country analytically, but is that okay? Is this an easy test, right? Are you going to school? Are you going into high school and you're acing an easy test that you don't have to study for? That's how Michigan had it in 2022 as well, because I hate to admit it. I was convinced that Penn State was going to go into the big house and surprise them, as in, well, they're a little underrated here, so maybe they sneak up on Michigan. No, Michigan was being underrated at the time because, well, they had the easy schedule. They weren't prepared. Penn State's the best team they faced all season. So it's a similar setup, but now the statistics, the analytics actually do tell you something different. Penn State, for what it's worth, was in that Ohio State game, and the only reason I think they really lost was because they didn't have a Marvin Harrison Jr., and Ohio State did. Michigan does not have that. Roman Wilson can be covered by Kalen King. Roman Wilson can be covered by Johnny Dixon, Daquan Hardy. Marvin Harrison Jr. can't be covered by anybody. And it showed with 11 catches, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. I know the whole thing. But Michigan can't do that because they don't have that. And then to go along with the running game that's down from a year ago, Penn State's run defense held Ohio State to 1.9 yards per carry. They just held Maryland to negative 48. I know quarterback sacks are factored into that, but come on, the run defense took that 418 from a year ago personally, and look at the 180 that they've done.
Zach, what do you think score prediction for this game? And even moving forward, we talked earlier with Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss about outside playoff hopes. Is there still a conversation about playoffs for Penn State? And again, give me a final score for this one.
Conversation, yes. This is the chance to save the season. Now, how is Penn State balancing that? Because when they had the pressure of, oh, this is your mountain, this is the one that's going to be a difference maker for your program, you fumbled. You lost 20-12 to Ohio State. But we know what that matchup was when we actually looked at it. Hindsight's 2020. Opportunity to save your season, but the circumstances are different. The matchup's actually more favorable for Penn State. Penn State is at home. Beaver Stadium is the most hostile environment. We're talking about, okay, best offense that Michigan has faced, best defense by far, all season up until Ohio State, and then best environment. This is the most hostile environment they're going to face. You're getting 2 elite defenses. You're getting 2 teams that do not like each other, that hate each other. So I liken it to an NFL division rivalry, meaning that I'm trending to a lower scoring type of game. I'm going to go Penn State 23-21 here. Call me Homer, whatever. I'm the host of Locked On Nittany Lions.
Yeah.
So I am going to be a little more confident in my team in this case. But now it's not an emotional journey for your young starting quarterback into his hometown. It's Beaver Stadium. It's a team that got a much-needed reality check. And too many fans in State College and Happy Valley sold out on this Penn State team. James Franklin reads the tabloids. He reads the headlines. When you were praising him, it was easy for this team. I felt like they weren't serious going into that Ohio State game. It's now more business-like this time around. There's all the distractions from the sign-stealing allegations. Apparently, ESPN thinks that the Big Ten Conference is going to suspend Jim Harbaugh for this Penn State game, and then 2 to 3 others. It's just, how do you block out that noise when you are being in the national spotlight the way that Michigan is? For better, for worse, it doesn't matter. I think Penn State can get it. They definitely cover, and the official sportsbook of Locked On says 45.5, so my total is slightly under there.